All right. Fire 'em up. We go live in 5.
Proceed with the countdown.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4,
Make like a tree.
3, 2, 1.
Son of a bitch!
And here we go.
Alright, no intro this time because I don't want to sound like a fucking douchebag. So we've been gone for probably about 3 months now.
Since Jedi.
Yeah. And yeah, a lot of movies have come out that we kind of wanted to get together for. We just, schedules couldn't work out. But we finally decided to get together for Black Panther. And I know you're already asking yourselves, yeah, it's about 3 weeks too late. Well, what the hell can you do? I mean, we have lives, goddammit. So, if you value our opinions, you're going to listen to this anyway. And if you don't, you can kiss my ass. Alright. So, Black Panther came out about 3 weeks ago. And since then, it has literally just fucking destroyed the box office completely. It's been number one. It probably looks to be number one for... I would say even this next weekend, probably for about 4 weeks now.
It's
It'll
a
be
pretty
number
big
one.
powerhouse.
But I saw it late. I think I saw it 2 weeks after it had opened because I was busy with work and everything. We're gonna go around the table here. First, where are my fucking manners? Here I am just talking like I'm the only one here. My name is DJ.
Hi guys, I'm Todd.
I'm Vern.
And the three of us are going to sit here and discuss Black Panther for you. I'll start off with what I kind of thought about the movie. Like I said, I saw it a little bit late than opening weekend, and I thought it was a really good movie. I will say I didn't think it was spectacular. It still wasn't my favorite Marvel movie. It's kind of hard to top Winter Soldier or Civil War for me. But no, I really liked it. It was a Marvel movie. Marvel has failed to they have not disappointed so far. And I mean, in the grand scheme of things,
There's a couple.
I was gonna, Iron Man 3, Thor 2,
Maybe the Incredible Hulk.
no, not even that. Because if you have to look back at the context of that one when it was released, compared to Ang Lee's Hulk, Incredible Hulk is so much fucking better. We don't get
Hitting yourself on the
clusterfuck
dick
of
with a
CGI.
hammer is better than that.
Wow. Well, we got Thor's hammer. We could just plant it there.
Then you got a lot of problems.
Oh man, but no, I really liked the movie. I thought it was terrific. And I had a good time watching it. Todd, your thoughts?
I enjoyed it. I feel a lot how you felt. I thought it was a good movie. I won't put it up as my favorite because Winter Soldier just for the foreseeable future has been my favorite. There's been a couple other competitors in there. But Black Panther was a good, solid movie all around. I really enjoyed it.
Burn.
Oh yeah, I thought it was fantastic. It was it was a great movie for me, for obvious reasons. But
Gee, you don't say.
well, I mean, you hear through Hollywood that having a African American cast or black cast or however you feel, I should say it, will never be a moneymaker kind of movie. It never be. It's always been a tough sell. And then
you, Hollywood.
And then Marvel just kind of proves them wrong that they made this fantastic movie, and and to mention all the other movies like they were just discussing, like Black Panther was one, Get Out, Girl Trip, and Hidden Figures.
Yeah, I forgot about Girl Trip. That was another one that did pretty well in the box office too.
So you have all these movies, and then you have a superhero movie, you have kind of like a romantic comedy movie, you have a horror movie, and then you have like a historical one. So you have all these different genres, and it's just like what did these guys do different than anybody else throughout the history of?
And it's so refreshing to see the diversity.
It is. And I don't think it's anything maybe different. The only thing I will say that is different, I was talking with my mom about this earlier, and this was after I had seen the movie, and I think what you're now starting to see is more, how do I want to say this? I don't want to say this and sound the wrong way.
That's okay. I'll give you a pass.
Okay. But like positive representation up on the big screen, like Hidden Figures, like Black Panther. It's not like movies like, say, like the Tupac movie, where you could find the positives in that, but it's, I think, image wise is what I'm going for. Like it's still played to the stereotypical image of, black rapper, thug, blah, blah, blah. Like, now we're starting to see, like, Black Panther.
Black Panther's the story of a king.
Yeah, he's a king.
That's rad.
A prince who becomes a king from a great family, and he's a fucking superhero. You had, whatchamacallit, Hidden Figures. They were just regular women who actually helped put somebody into space.
Yeah, it's like these positive portrayal of intelligent black women.
Exactly, intelligent too, and I think that's a lot of it too. Is where, where black characters before, and I don't want to use Falcon as the example here, but they were always like the sidekick, and now I think you're starting to see more like they're being in more prominent roles and being leading roles, and smart too. Mm-hmm. Look at Get Out. What's been the long running joke of horror movies forever? Oh, the black person's first one to die.
True. Yeah.
Now you have it where the guy lives, and his buddy actually is smart and actually has figured it out and is trying to get his friend back.
Spoilers, by the way.
Yeah,
spoilers if you haven't seen it.
But TSA, we handle our shit. That's all I'll say for that movie. But no, I'm very happy that there's starting to be more diversity in Hollywood, and not just from color, but women finally getting their fair share.
The same year we had Black Panther and Wonder Woman, and that's a woman lead carrying a film, and an African American lead covering the lead. That's great to see.
And that was one of DC's best films.
It was DC's
best
film. What is this? It might be
in their cinematic universe. Yeah.
But we were talking about the strong women, but in the Black Panther, that's the one thing that I was impressed with.
Strong women in that movie too.
Mm-hmm. Intelligent, smart, beautiful.
Lupita Nyong'o is just... she is so gorgeous. And even the one... I can't remember the actress's name, but even in a very strong way, the other... I mean, they were all beautiful, but in a very, I would be subservient to her. The one who was bald.
Oh, what's her name? The lady who plays Michonne in The Walking Dead.
Yes. I was like, holy shit.
I'm blanking on her name.
I'm actually Lupita Nyong'o,
Nyong'o, I think is how you say it. Who is
And-
Maz Kanata
alright.
in Star Wars, by the way?
I'm gonna say this right now because this is kind of funny and this is kind of true. All right, so most of the names are African Americans. Now, even African Americans have trouble pronouncing the other names. And to tell this joke, it's kind of funny. When my dad passed away, one of my cousins had to do a reading, and the first thing he said was, "I'm sorry if I butchered any of your names." So that's going to be the case here. But we're going to try our best.
But yeah, Lupita Nyong'o.
Yeah. So
Yes,
yeah.
that's yeah. Who, like I said, who was Maz Kanata in Star Wars? Actually, yeah, she was fun. Like all.
No! I'll take that back. It's not Lupita Nyong'o.
Yeah, she was the love interest.
She was the love
she was
interest.
She was the spy.
Yeah, it was Danye Garia.
Yeah, that's the one who played the general.
Yes.
And the one who
I'm
was
just gonna be the jerk who calls her Michonne.
and the actress's name that played his sister. She was phenomenal too.
Oh yeah, I
she
thought
was
she was
funny.
great.
She was great.
Latia Wright.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, here we're moving into kind of the character realm now. So let's just talk about that.
Oh look, another white boy we have to fix.
That was
funny.
great. Oh my god, that was great.
Yeah, so let's talk lead.
All right, so let's talk about Chadwick Boseman.
Fucking perfectly cast.
Yeah.
Just a solid performance.
Now his, he is not native African, right?
Right.
Okay, because sometimes I felt like the accent
Phil.
was a little like when one of us trying to do a British accent, like it seemed a little too forced at times. Like I don't know, maybe that's just me, because I've been around people from Africa before. Where I used to work at the Federal Reserve, we had a couple that came from Africa, and so I know kind of like how the accent sounds, and it just seemed a little bit like you could kind of tell he was putting it on. Only in certain instances, not all the time,
Yeah,
but in certain
it wasn't
instances.
Halle Berry bad.
Oh God, no. Well, hardly anything is Halle Berry bad.
Y'all leave poor Halle alone. She's a hometown girl.
That accent in X-Men 1 though, it's so bad.
Oh, yeah, that was
So bad that
infinitely
as the
worse.
movies went on, she just stopped doing it.
But no, Chadwick Boseman was great. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think he did a really good job. It's a good, likable main character. You felt for him. You could tell that he was trying to find his place, and it was just a good, strong lead. I won't say the strongest performance in the film, but definitely a good main.
I kind of like that it didn't drag. Like origin stories just kind of drag out, and they just right in the beginning of the movie, it just told the whole story right then and there.
Yeah, it was because they had done like the origin. They almost couldn't even do a lot of the origin because it was already done in Civil War.
Yeah. They just kind of explained the myth.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that with Chadwick's character, the Black Panther, T'Challa.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I like the fact that they put his father in it, T'Chaka?
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds about right.
And I kind of like how they brought him into the light too.
That was
they
interesting.
brought the spiritual version into that.
And that was just leading into one of the other things I like. The cinematography, or the way they made the ethereal, I think it's the ethereal plane, sorry, inside joke. But the way they made the ethereal plane where they were talking to like spiritual ancestors, fucking gorgeous. It was so beautiful. Like, I just wish that's how it was outside every day. Like,
I like the Warriors Fall.
which one was
The Warriors Fall is where they fought.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that was awesome. But you moving on with characters, you had touched upon that you didn't think he was the strongest. I kind of agree with that because I honestly think the two strongest performances of that movie, I can't remember the actor's name, but he was the guy from This Is Us, the TV show.
I know who you're talking about. I can't remember his name either.
Yeah, look that up really quick. Him and Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan
I thought was
just knocked it out of the park.
Hey, Auntie. Oh my god, that made me fucking laugh out loud.
Dude, I love the shirts that they have now.
Yes. He was awesome, and he was one of a buddy of ours, Dan Rogers. Shout out to Dan if you're listening to this. But he had posted online after he had gone to see it about how this was the first Marvel character, a villain, in a while where you actually felt his motivation. Like you actually, it was a well thought out motivation, and it's almost sympathetic, but you can understand.
Yeah, well, and he's out of on the weakest parts of the Marvel movies is the villain usually.
Yes,
there's never. You don't connect with them a lot or anything like that. And they're usually not awful, but they're definitely not the strongest parts of the film.
Yeah.
And in Black Panther, he was
just great.
Yeah, he was great, and you could feel his motivations. You could feel the sympathy for him, but you also knew what he was doing was freaking awful.
Yeah.
So like you felt like you felt his presence, and you felt like the conflict that Black Panther himself was feeling too.
Yeah.
So he was a very interesting villain.
Yeah. He was a villain that you could sympathize with, but only so far.
He was right up there with Magneto. That's what I keep hearing.
Yes.
He was right up
Yes.
there with
Yeah,
Magneto.
I can see that.
Because Magneto is like,
you understand
right.
his cause.
He's not wrong, and yeah, you understand his cause. And I've heard the same thing about Doctor Doom as well.
Mm-hmm.
Doctor Doom is like, yeah, Doctor Doom doesn't consider it a bad. He just thinks he can run the world a lot better than everybody else can.
Yeah.
So that's always been a thing too. And by the way, I got the name. It's Sterling K. Brown.
Sterling K. Brown, yes. And the one scene I'll bring up, this is obviously spoiler heavy discussion, but when Michael B. Jordan's character, I can't remember his character's name. What's his?
Killmonger.
Killmonger.
Eric Stevens. I'm gonna say is this character.
Eric Killmonger. That's all I got.
Eric Killmonger.
I think his name was
That's a
like
hell of a
I
last
think it was
name.
Stevens, but his nickname was Killmonger or something like
But,
that. They mention it.
But when he gets the Black Panther juice, whatever else, and gets buried and
flower power.
Yes, and he goes to the ethereal plane, and he runs in and he meets his father. And I thought it was cool that it was still the old apartment, but they actually had the same kind of
outside the
purple
windows
background.
they had that. It was really a cool visual.
But the performance from Sterling K. Brown, and I mentioned this to somebody else too afterwards. It was his subtle acting that, in the very beginning of the movie, you saw how militant he was, like wanting to be like, oh, we need to fight, we need to do this, and then you see him in the ethereal plane. And you could see pride in that he feels towards his son to see the man he's become, but you also see regret in his eyes too when his son starts talking about how he needs to. Like I said, I've only seen the movie once. I don't remember the exact quotes, but he starts talking about what he has to do and blah blah blah, and you could see in Sterling K. Brown's eyes like almost like, not that he raised a monster, but like he failed his son. And I thought like that's what I took out of it, and I was like, holy shit, like he didn't come out and say it, you could just see it.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, like that's fucking powerful. And I love Sterling K. Brown on This Is Us, and I wish he had a bigger role for the Marvel Cinematic Universe because he's so good. But he was so good in just that little role, and just in that scene. that scene was so good between Michael B. Jordan and Sterling K. Brown. It was really that's one of the moments that stuck out to me in that movie.
I kind of felt the same way about when he, like you said, he was just looking at him. He's like, maybe if I took you, to know your heritage, we wouldn't be going through all this. And, but it was the struggle of I think that made the movie kind of stronger. That it was the struggle. It's like, we're Wakanda, we're this advanced technological. I can't say the word.
I'll try it again.
Take two. We're this advanced nation. How's that? We're this advanced nation, and we should do something. And that was the whole struggle of the movie: is that do we share our advances with the rest of the world? And that was the whole movie. And that's kind of been like the comic books as well too. It's always been that struggle, what will they do with this information once we give it to them? Because Wakanda is like, 1,000 years advanced in the rest of the world.
Some insanely large.
And I love how they did that. I love that there's this advanced civilization that the rest of the world doesn't realize. And then, T'Challa has to have this big struggle, whether... what should we do? Do we keep to ourselves or do we give it to the world? And he's having that vision. And so when he sees that, all the struggles and all the pain that it's caused, it's like, we're gonna have to evolve with the rest of the world.
Oh yeah. And before we bounce back over to you, Todd,
sorry.
No, I wanted to bring up something because I'm glad you brought that up. Something that I picked up on. I don't know if it was intentional, but when you talked about the sharing aspect of technology and stuff like that, and how they were wary of letting outsiders in, it kind of made me think of our society in this country in the United States as of right now, and I think it's actually a good story. It's a good mirroring of sociopolitics today. And I don't know if that was intentional, but you see that going on today. We need to shut ourselves in from the rest of the world. We need to pull everybody out. We need to build walls. We need to build barriers. We need to ship all the immigrants out. We need to do this. When in times of crisis, instead of just sealing ourselves off from everybody, or not even saying we're in a crisis or anything right now, maybe heading towards a financial one. That's neither here nor there. but I mean, not like we're facing a huge crisis now, but we're so much wrapped in paranoia in this country about people coming from outside and bringing problems, and the xenophobia, that that's not when we should be walling ourselves off. We should be embracing and being more worldly to accepting people, because people are using a title from a Twilight Zone show, but people are the same all over. And that's what I picked up on in the movie. I don't know if they were using it as kind of like a metaphor to be like, instead of shutting everything down and being non-inclusive, we need to start being more inclusive and being more inclusive to the rest of the world. And that's kind of what I picked up on. Or that's something I picked up on, whether it was intentional or not. I think it was.
No, I think you're in the right path.
I think it was a good, almost like morale, like good lesson, moral lesson, whatever. But yeah, that's something I noticed.
You have King Ivory Wayans going, lesson!
Message!
That's what it was, message.
But yeah, trying to think anybody else.
Let's talk about two of my favorite characters from this. Let's talk about Man-Ape.
Oh, Man-Ape.
And let's talk about Claw.
Fucking Andy Serkis.
Oh, man.
Oh,
I made it rain.
He was insane. He was great.
When they have him for interrogation and he just starts singing "What Is Love," and it's like, this is a magic moment. Andy Serkis, you are a spirit animal. But yeah, he was great as Because you guys know I love complex villains, but you guys also know that I love incredibly simple, dumb villains. And so the counterpoint to Killmonger is Claw, who is he was smart, but he was also just like crude and brash.
Yeah, he did not beat around the bush.
Yeah, and that was good. He was a good like level 1 boss as far as the villains go. He starts the now I'm catching Vern's twisted tongue. But he starts the film off as kind of like the villain, and then eventually you something big happens with him, and then you see Killmonger kind of take over.
He's played this character before, and we've never seen this side of him until the Black Panther.
You saw it a little bit in what was it, Avengers 2, Age of Ultron?
Yes.
You saw him, and you got to see like his arm get ripped off and shit in that one too, and they go into stuff in Black Panther, and now he's got a literal arm cannon. It's badass. But yeah, he was. I had a lot of fun watching Andy Serkis in this movie. I usually have a lot of fun watching Andy Serkis in general, but he was a lot of fun in this movie.
It's kind of very rare that you get a villain that you actually love.
It's the best.
Well, that was not deviate a little bit off course there with a villain that you love. That's exactly how I felt in the Bond movie Skyfall. Fucking Raul Silva, played by Javier Bardem, was so goddamn deliciously great.
I love a hammy villain.
Him and Christopher Walken are my two favorite Bond villains because they are just so fucking over the top.
I like not even saying the character's name, just Christopher Walken.
He is a villain. But going back to Black Panther.
Well, I was gonna say one of my favorite villains was was in Robin Hood.
Oh God!
Was it Alan Rickman?
Alan Rickman, yes, as a sheriff of Nottingham.
I'm gonna carve your heart out with a spoon. Why a spoon? It's dull. It'll hurt more. So,
He just chewed the scenery off that movie. There was no more scenery left to chew once that movie. But no, you brought up Manape.
Yes.
Too. And yeah, he was great.
Usually
was played by
who's he? Who was he?
Manape was played by Winston Duke, and it was M'Baku. M'Baku. He was great.
Yeah. and in the comics, he plays a little bit more of a villainous role. Mm-hmm. But in this, he was another likable character. It was another character, another quasi-villain, anti-hero.
He is kind of, in the books, from what I've read, in the books, he's just a guy who wants to be respected. You know, he of course, he's big, strong, runs the Ape tribe, and I don't know enough from the book to the cinematic verse, but I do like the cinematic verse. I like the fact that, you know, they're not really heavily into technology.
Yeah, they're kind of like the offshoot. There's a bunch of tribes, and they were like the one kind of like we don't want anything to do with this tribe that kind of went off into the mountains, and that reflects in his character that he's the leader of these people. So, you know, he never deals with all the rest of the tribes in Wakanda usually.
But he wants his respect.
Yeah, exactly.
And he explained that. You know, he's like, you guys don't come up and visit me. It was funny. It was like, he pretty much basically told him, like, we're family. You guys don't come and visit me. You know, you don't respect me. You know, all this other stuff that's going on. But yeah, M'Baku was a great character.
He was one of the best parts of the film, I feel, for me. His costume was rad too.
Oh
yeah,
the costume, something I can cosplay.
The scene though, when they finally get T'Challa back up on his feet. Black Panther, when they finally get him black on his feet.
There's a Freudian
slip.
Angry letter.
when they finally get him back on his feet, they're talking about what they need to go do, like to get Killmonger and everything. And you hear the big swell up of the music, and everybody's like, I can go do this, we can go do that. And then it cuts to Manape, and he's like, oh my god, are you guys done yet? It was such a deflating moment at the end. Like, I just started busting out laughing in the theater. I kind of felt the same way too. It's beautiful.
It's a little bit of lampshading.
Yes.
It was interesting because this, just as an aside, was one of the least quippy Marvel films. Like, usually, you have like Iron Man who comes in cracking jokes all the time or anything like that. And you didn't get that a lot in this one. It was more subdued.
Yeah,
you had a couple of moments, but you didn't have a lot of like, just like the superheroes running in and making jokes with each other.
I don't know, because all right, let's talk about the women. All right, and start with Shuri.
The middle finger.
Yeah, the middle finger. It was totally unexpected, and it was just like, but I get it. She's the little sister. She's the one who's going to put,
she was a joy to watch in this movie.
She was great.
And when she put that middle finger, I was just like, oh, so she's this type of character.
She's got some sass.
Yeah, I mean, and she's smart, she's beautiful, she's intelligent.
She does good at counterpointing Black Panther's character, because he's kind of like the dry, serious guy. Yeah, he smiles and jokes every so often, but she's like the counterpoint, the Lancer to his character.
When she talked about his sandals, I was just like, what are those?
Some sneakers.
It was just great. All right, so the next one is Nakia. It was supposed to be Black Panther's ex-lover.
Lover, what was that?
Lover. Kissy. And I thought she was a great character.
Yeah.
She's a great support character.
Yes. And
she plays the counterpoint. She's a good vocal for like we need to share with everyone. The good side of that, as opposed to the Killmonger side, whereas I want it so I could burn everything, and she wants it so she could grow everything. And it was a good, again, this movie was a lot of balance. It was a lot of good counterpoint and balance. And I think that's what makes it a strong film.
And then
I was gonna say, not as much for her to do as the other ones, but she's still like her role was well.
Yeah, she was more
well
for
serviced. Yeah,
it was more for like the
speaking
speaking than the action.
Yeah, then she got to kick a little ass at the end there too, so that was fun.
This was like Xena rings.
Yes,
I love those rings.
I think of the frisbee things.
Like the Tron things. Or
yes, yeah. I was gonna say, and we can't. We also have to mention, even briefly, Angela Bassett and Forrest Whitaker.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's so many names in this movie, but Angela Bassett was really good, and
she plays the stepmother.
Yeah. And Forrest Whitaker playing the
like
priest
an advisor,
person,
kind of thing.
like the spiritual advisor.
I have to laugh because every time I see it, but there's all these different memes on Facebook or just internet in general, and they talked about Wakanda, the only nation that fixed Forrest Whitaker's eye.
Forrest Whitaker.
And they're just busting out laughing.
The Forrest Whitaker eye. I had somebody I was working with one time say like they were getting stressed out so much they started getting the Forrest Whitaker eye. Just made it. I was like, holy shit, that's bad, but it's so goddamn funny.
Oh man.
We should mention Agent Ross too, real quick.
Oh yeah.
He has a much bigger role in this one than he did in Civil War.
Played by Martin Freeman.
Yes. Bilbo himself.
And he played a big part. I didn't think he was going to play a big part, but he played a huge part.
Yeah, he was pretty significant.
Yeah, he really helps out in the climax of it too.
I'm a novice when it comes to the comic book and how they're all related and characters are related. He is not related to Thunderbolt Ross, is he?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I don't. Yeah, I don't know.
I never really made that connection.
Yeah, neither have I.
I mean, I know they're both named Ross, but I don't know. I think I had asked somebody else before and they said no, but I'm not sure. I would assume if they have the last name and they're in Marvel, that there'd be some sort of connection, but
I may have to look that up.
But yeah, I mean, Martin Freeman. Anything I've seen him in, I haven't seen him in Sherlock Holmes, but in the Hobbit trilogy, in
World's End, he was.
World's End. Oh, I fucking loved him in World's End. Oh my god. I think it is my favorite Cornetto trilogy movie, right behind Shaun of the Dead, or right just in front of Shaun of the Dead. But yeah, he was terrific in that movie. Anything he's in, he's money. And that's the thing with this movie overall. There wasn't really a weak performance. I mean, you could go down the list, and there wasn't a performance where I would say that was weak.
Everybody was great. I mean, right down to the elders. Like even the elder women. The old lady, she was just she was the one who was speaking more than anybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm sitting up there, and the dude with the plate in his mouth. And I'm sitting up there.
The whole time I was watching that, and I'm like, how does he pronunciate so well?
I was thinking the same thing, and it was just so funny. And by looking at the different tribes, and it just kind of made me wanted to read more about African tribes and about the plates and stuff. Because I remember I used to watch the Discovery and History channel and whatever, and they would tell you what was the significance of the rings and the necks, and the plates and stuff. And I've kind of lost that. So now I want to go back and read the books and see why that is.
It's definitely interesting, and I think. And at least I hope, fingers crossed, for a character like Black Panther, that with the success of this movie, much like the success of Guardians of the Galaxy, they will see a huge uptick spike in sales of the comic books. Because Guardians of the Galaxy had that. Because now all of a sudden people are like, who the fuck are these people? We have to go find out who they are. And comic book sales are going up. So I'm hoping Black Panther, the same thing happens.
I think you'll see that, but in the meantime, from what I've heard, is Marvel's going to end up rebooting the universe. And,
it's
really?
Yeah.
They do it every couple of years.
They do it every while. And I'm assuming that...
the comic book universe.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I thought you were talking about cinematic universe.
Well,
I was like, holy shit, we're just getting into the Thanos.
They might reboot the cinematic. We don't know what's going to happen after the...
and with the gems and everything like that, they could pretty much do anything they want and get away with it. That's a whole separate discussion that we'll get into.
Sorry, I jumped ahead of myself.
Get into on the next episode. But I mentioned weaker characters, that there are none. But some of the weakest aspects of the movie, moving down the list here, the visual effects.
The visual effects.
Some of them were gorgeous, like we talked about, the ethereal plane. What was the falls?
The Warriors Falls.
Warriors Falls.
And even Wakanda itself.
Yeah. And Wakanda looked beautiful. But you had mentioned this earlier before we jumped on the show.
Yeah, it just seems like
a lot of the times it starts to look a little cartoony.
Yeah, it just seems like the parts where the action sequence, especially when they're doing the car chase scene. It just seemed, and I'm not talking about the car chase. The car chase was great, that technology with Shuri and everything else. That was great, but it was just when it came to the Black Panther suit and the movement, that's when it looked kind of cartoony.
Yeah, and that's when you can tell where they don't have somebody. I don't think they maybe actually have somebody in a mocap suit for that one, actually moving around, or maybe they do, but it's just the way it's animated. You could tell it's just an animated person jumping. It doesn't even look convincingly like a person.
Like in Spider-Man. Like, Spider-Man and Black Panther pretty much kind of moved with the same agility. And at least with Spider-Man, I don't recall or remember any time where it just looked like the CGI blinks off.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff with the Rhino, I thought looked a little too dodgy to me.
I love rhinos.
But yeah, it's nothing against the scene itself.
Nothing
It's
against
just
the Rhino people.
Yeah. And there was the funny part in there too, where the Rhino was about to charge Man-Ape, and then what's her name jumped in front of it, and the Rhino stopped and started licking her face, like giving her kisses. I thought that was funny.
I saw that coming.
I knew it was gonna happen too. We wasn't gonna run over. Although I like how she put dude in his place. But
you know what effect I liked? The sand. Like everything, if you pay attention, all their like communication technology and all that.
Oh yeah.
And even like when she does like stuff in like when she's in the car and when Agent Ross is in the plane, it's all like movable sand.
You know what? I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, it's really cool, and it goes along with like the spiritual things when they're burying them in the sand and stuff like that. But yeah, I thought it was really neat because even like their communicators, it's like the sand moves to form like the person talking, but if you saw like the back of them, it was all like still like dark.
Yeah,
it would look like black sand. It was a little effect that I thought was cool.
I thought it was pretty cool too.
They did a little bit in the beginning too when they were talking about like the legends, and it was like the sand.
Yeah, when he picked up the Jeep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you know what? If I see that movie again, I'll have to pay attention to that because I didn't realize that that's what it was. It was sand and everything. That's really cool now. Like
it was just a
thinking
neat
back
effect.
on it, I could see it.
It was one of the effects I felt was one of the strongest ones in the whole film.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps up our Black Panther discussion. We're now rolling on just over 40 minutes. It does not seem like it.
We've
man.
done it again.
It seems like we've been talking for only like 15, 20 minutes, but here we are 40 minutes, and we're trying to get these things down. It's a work in progress.
There's one other thing, but I was afraid to talk about it. But I can never pronounce their name properly. It's like when you read Themyscira, and you didn't know what it sounded like until you like actually heard the cartoon. But was it the Dory Marge?
Oh, the warrior women.
Yes, the warrior woman. You know, like these women were badass because they pretty much almost beat Killmonger.
Yeah.
You know, they were at that point.
Who wins in a fight, them or the Amazon women from Wonder Woman?
Somebody asked that question too, and that's kind of hard.
I don't know. Wonder Woman, they just kind of get shot and they're down.
Yeah. These
ones are more technologically advanced.
That would be a good fight. It's just like, man,
I would have to give it to the what were they called? The what? The Wakanda Warrior.
Michelle
the WWW.
Yeah.
The WWW.
Because I always had problems pronouncing the name anytime I see it.
I just give it to them because the technology and I think fighting skill they're probably about evenly matched, but I think the technology wins in the end, and I think they would have the advantage over them because the Amazon women were still kind of primitive. They were still using bow and arrows and swords and everything.
And there's the one line she goes, "Guns, so primitive." And the fact that we got to see the vibranium mines too, that was great too.
And yes, and that they're not short on vibranium.
Oh, not at all.
They're sitting on a huge mountain of it. I thought that was really cool. So, but yeah, just an overall, just a really good movie, a really solid movie. And
that's what I'd say. This movie is just balanced.
Yeah,
balanced and solid.
But everybody's been saying the same thing. It's like they didn't think it was better. Everybody compares it to either Civil War or Winter Soldier. Is still like one of their everybody's favorites.
Oh, what do you mean? Like, do you mean like that Winter Soldier is still everybody's favorite, but they still say Black Panther is good, just maybe not to that level.
Right, because it's like, because everybody's like, well, would you compare it to any other Marvel movie? And it's like, is it your favorite now? And everybody's saying the same thing. It's either Winter Soldier or Civil War.
I always compare any Marvel movie I see now. I generally compare it to Winter Soldier because I feel it had everything you could have asked for. It had the action, it had intrigue, and suspense. It was
a game changer.
Yeah.
And it was literally just, if you could remove Captain America and the superheroes out of there, and it's a spy thriller.
Yeah, it's legitimately the Empire Strikes Back of Marvel movies.
Yeah, that's how they wrote it. I can't remember the writers. The writers did something else that was like kind of like spyish, but that's, from what I understand, that's how it was kind of written. It was written like a spy movie,
and it changes everything. I mean, it literally changed everything. The scope of Shield. Shield was this great thing. Now all of a sudden you realize, oh my god, fucking Hydra's everywhere in S.H.I.E.L.D. And so it literally, like, that's how I view that movie. It literally took the MCU and just went like, nope, we're going this way now.
We should probably get more into this in our next discussion.
But yeah, but to wrap up Black Panther, what other Marvel movie would I compare it to? It's tough because it's so unique in its own way. It's I would say it was somewhere between the original Captain America and maybe Thor. In terms of how quality-wise, like in terms of, I'm not going to go on a ranking system of these things because it's impossible. It's impossible to rank these things, but It was a good introduction, a further introduction into the character. We'll see if they do a Black Panther 2. We'll see how much further they can take it. Are there darker roads they can go down, or not even necessarily darker? Are they just deeper? How much deeper can they go? And I'm really intrigued to see how much deeper they can go with it, because I think they could go really deep with it, and I think they could go Winter Soldier, Civil War level deep with it. But. I liked it. It was just, it's hard to top Winter Soldier for me. So, because that was one where I walked out of that movie, I was like, holy fuck. But, so, your final thoughts on the movie?
Like I said earlier, it's a good balance film. It's just a good film. And is it just like with the racial thing, it's refreshing. It's a good fresh of breath air, but in the long run, it's a good standalone film. Yeah. And I liked everything about it.
Vern?
It's a great movie. Thank you, Marvel, for giving me something I can cosplay. I loved it. Culture-wise, the costumes were amazing. The scenery was amazing.
Beautiful movie.
The stories, the characters, everybody did a tremendous job, and they should be proud of themselves.
All right, that wraps up our Black Panther discussion. And we will see you on the next episode. Next episode, we're going to dive in a little bit more on the road to Infinity War. So, this has been another edition of Real Rants. I'm DJ.
I'm Todd.
I'm Vern.
Peace out, everybody.